Years ago, Persians pulled sheets of solid ice out of shallow pools in one of the hottest deserts on Earth, with no electricity, no machines, and no chemicals. Just water, mud bricks, and the open sky. And here's craziest part. On those nights, they lifted that ice out while the air above the pools sat a few degrees above freezing, never cold enough to freeze anything on its own. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where their cold came from, and you'll know how to pull a sheet of ice out of your own backyard with a tray, some straw, and one clear night. Before we start, grab the free PDF from sketchysurvival101.com/free. It has everything you need to do this yourself. Now, picture Yazd, a city parked in the middle of the Iranian desert. Ice storage pits in Iran reach back thousands of years, though the domes still standing today are far newer. Summer afternoons, they're pushed past 104 degrees, and before electricity, that kind of heat made keeping anything cool into a daily battle. Mountain ice existed, but where it wasn't easy to haul in, people simply froze their own, locally, out in the open. And historical accounts are clear that Persians across every class cooled their water, wine, and sherbets with ice straight through the summer. Not legend, documented history. Which leaves a physics problem that looks airtight. Heat only flows from hot to cold. If the air over a pool of water sits just a few degrees above freezing, say 36 degrees, that air on its own can't drag the water down to 32. To freeze that pool, the water needs another way to shed heat, something pulling warmth out of it faster than that mild air feeds warmth back in. And on those desert nights, something was. It just wasn't anywhere on Earth. Here's the secret. And this even blew my mind when I was researching. Everything around you glows. Your body, the ground, a pool of water. All of it constantly throws heat away as invisible infrared light. Normally, that doesn't cool anything down because everything nearby glows right back and the trade cancels out. But the atmosphere has a loophole. There's a narrow band of infrared where the air is almost perfectly transparent, a window in the sky. Heat that leaves through that window doesn't warm the air and doesn't bounce back. It climbs through the entire atmosphere and keeps going out into space. So on a clear, dry night, an open pool of water is still trading heat with the warm air and the ground around it. But it's also dumping heat straight up through that window, and it loses a little more as its top layer evaporates into the dry desert air. To that pool, the clear night sky behaves like a surface tens of degrees colder than the air. Combine those upward losses together, and the water sheds heat faster than the calm air beside it can pay it back, so its surface slides below air temperature. On a good clear night, radiation alone can pull very roughly 60 to 100 watts off every square meter of that surface, and the old Persian pools sat near the low end of that range. Give it a long, calm winter night to work, and water freezes under air that never touched freezing. You've already watched this happen, by the way. It's the frost on your windshield on a morning when the forecast never hit 32. It's the grass crunching white while the thermometer on your porch reads 37. Your car and your lawn were radiating heat out through that same sky window all night, and their surfaces dropped below freezing while the air didn't. That's not a broken thermometer. That's the Persian ice machine, running in your driveway for free and nobody harvesting it. Before we get to the harvest, quick gift. I mentioned it already, but I put this whole thing into a free illustrated guide, the physics in plain pictures, the full build, and the go or no-go checklist that decides whether you get ice or a cold puddle. It's at sketchysurvival101.com/free. Print it. Stick it on the fridge. It's about to embarrass. Now, the Persians didn't just notice the trick. They engineered it into an industry, and every piece of the design earns its place. First, the ice was made outdoors in long, shallow open-air basins, filled each winter evening with a thin layer of water, just a few inches deep. Thin matters. A thin sheet of water has lots of sky facing surface and very little depth to cool, so it can lose its heat in one night. The water arrived through cannots, underground channels that carried it in from far off, and each evening the basins were topped up fresh. Beside the basins stood tall shade walls, and they did two jobs. By day, they kept direct sun off the ice works. By night, they blocked the wind because moving air stirs warmth back down onto the water surface and erases the whole effect. Then came the patient part. Each clear night, workers poured a fresh, thin layer on top of the previous night's ice and let the sky freeze it again, layer over layer, building slabs up to about 20 inches thick. Before sunrise, they cut the slabs and hauled them underground. And that's where the famous building comes in, the yakhchal. The name literally means ice pit. It's the giant mud brick dome you've seen in photos, some of them around 60 feet tall, built from thick adobe and local mortars that sometimes mixed in things like animal hair and egg white, walls that shrug off desert heat. Here's what almost everyone gets wrong about it. The dome never froze anything. The dome was the warehouse. Under it sat a deep pit where the winter ice was stacked and packed in straw, wrapped in walls so thick that the stockpile rode out summers over 104 degrees with most of the ice still frozen come autumn. The sky and the cold night air made the ice. The dome just refused to give it back. So stop picturing the yakhchal as their freezer. The freezer was the night sky. You live at the bottom of an ocean of air with a drain at the top. And every clear night, a door to the deep cold of space swings open above your head. It's been swinging open your whole life. The Persians were among the people who noticed and put a bucket under it. If part of you still doesn't buy it, that's fair. So here's the modern paper trail. In 2014, Stanford engineers published a panel in the journal Nature that stayed about 9 degrees colder than the surrounding air while sitting in full midday sunlight, cooled by nothing but its own glow escaping through that sky window. 2 years later, the same lab took a shielded version far further. It averaged about 67 degrees below the surrounding air across a full day and night, and at its peak sat about 76 degrees below, cold enough to freeze on radiation alone. And a team at the Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay ran a whole project on this exact principle, an ice maker with nothing plugged into it, freezing water with the night sky instead of a wall socket. The ancient trick isn't folklore. It's textbook physics we mostly set aside as mechanical refrigeration spread. Now, let's put a bucket under your sky. Fair warning, before the parts list, and this is me being straight with you. Your backyard rig is a plain surface, not a lab-grade panel, so expect it to run a few degrees below the air, maybe 10 or 15 on a perfect night, and expect a thin sheet of ice, not a block. This works on the right night, and the right night is specific. You want 4 things at once. A clear sky, because clouds send a lot of infrared back down at you and can shrink the cooling enough to stop ice from forming. Dry air, because humidity works against you the same way. Calm, because wind stirs warm air onto your tray and undoes the drop. And a long, cold night, with the air near freezing or just a few degrees above it. Cloudy, muggy, breezy, or genuinely warm, and you'll wake up to cold water and disappointment. That's not the build failing, that's the checklist failing, and the old ice makers obeyed the same checklist. Here's the build. Take a wide, shallow tray, matte black or unglazed terracotta, because what you want is a surface that throws off infrared heat well, and a matte, unglazed one does that. Set it on a thick insulating base, dry straw, a foam board, even a stack of cardboard, anything that breaks contact with the warmer ground. Do it out in the open with a full view of the sky, not under a tree, not near a warm wall, not beside a parked car, because anything hanging over that tray glows heat back into it. Stack low walls or bricks around the sides as a windbreak walls, never a lid. If the breeze won't quit, tent a sheet of thin, clear polyethylene film a couple inches above the water, because thin poly like that blocks wind while still letting most of the infrared through. Skip glass. Glass traps most of that heat instead of letting it escape. After sunset, pour in a thin layer of water, an inch or less. The traditional ice makers in northern India, who ran this exact system with straw-lined pits and porous clay trays, often poured boiled water and swore by it. Whether warm water really freezes faster out here is not settled, so treat the warm pour as optional. Then walk away. The cooling digs deepest in the hours before dawn, so leave it alone all night and harvest at first light before the sun touches it. And if you want to feel properly Persian, pour a fresh thin layer on yesterday's sheet the next clear night and start stacking. Everything you just heard fits on a few pages with pictures, the materials, the steps, the 4 conditions, and the reasons it fails, all in the free guide at sketchysurvival101.com/free. It costs you nothing, and the first tray of backyard ice pays you back in bragging rights alone. One last thing, because this physics cuts both ways. The same open sky that froze Persia's pools is draining heat out of your roof every clear winter night, and most people fight that drain with the most expensive tool in the garage. There's a cheaper way. And I already proved it, one warm room that beats a $3,000 generator. That video's on your screen right now. Go watch how to win the other half of this fight.